Two things I have to tell you before we start today's video. The first one, I'm keeping the mustache. Yeah, it's my Moist Moguls playoff stash, and I'm rocking that shit all the way through, baby. The second one, I'm not really a big fan of League of Legends, at least as a player. I had a short stint in Season 3 with my Fiddlesticks, but I retired at the proud rank of Bronze 3, and since then have not really touched the game. Except for one time where Tyler 1 yelled at me. And so I come to you today less as a fan of League of Legends and more so as a fan of esports, as an esports owner. So take everything I say with a grain of salt and understand I'm not super ingrained with the scene. Having said that, there is some huge drama happening in the LCS that we need to talk about. But first, a quick word from the sponsor of today's video. All right, everybody, it's time to put on your big boy pants and start using a browser made for adults, which is why I'm happy to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Opera GX. It's time to break up with your boring browser and move over to Opera GX, and I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why it's a good idea. The first one is the most important feature. It's called GX Control. Basically, this allows you to throttle your CPU usage or RAM usage on your browser so that it's not destroying your computer like some other browsers. I pulled up a side-by-side comparison of Opera GX using GX Control and then a competing browser both playing a similar YouTube video. And it turns out that Opera GX uses a whole lot less CPU with that throttle feature. It also allows you to throttle upload speeds, which can be super convenient. Feature number 2 is the one I use the most. It's basically a picture-in-picture, but it is amazing. You click one single button on any YouTube video or stream, and instantly it's just a beautiful box in the corner of your screen that you can adjust the size of, and it stays open no matter what browser you're on. It also stays open even if you minimize out of the browser and you start working on a Word doc or PDF. Finally, I got to tell you about the Opera GX mods, which are super easy to install. You can search through their store. They have hundreds and hundreds of options. They even have a Ludwig mod, which I don't know why 2,000 people have downloaded it, but it looks like this. Enjoy! Nice. Basically, the mod allows you to have a little fun. Anytime you open a browser or type on your keyboard or close a browser or click a window, it'll make a custom sound. And you don't just have to use the Ludwig mod, they also have it for lo-fi, Game Boy sounds, a whole load of stuff that I'm sure you'll find one that is suited to your taste. And if you click my link in the description, you'll have access to GX Corner, which will not only show you some cool games that might be coming out, but also my 12 most recent YouTube videos. So you'll never miss an upload, which you definitely will not want to do because you love watching Mogul Mail. So do me a favor and download the link in the description and get started with a better browser today. Opera GX, thank you for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to it. And if you don't know, LCS is the shorthand for the North American League of Legends scene. LCS is in turmoil, and there are 3 major parties causing this turmoil. The first one is Riot Games, the creator of League of Legends. The second one are the 10 team owners, the TSMs, the Team Liquids of the world, who make up the LCS. And the final one are the 50-plus players, the player association, that make up all of the team's players, the people who actually play the goddamn game really, really well. And I should preface this, if you don't watch League, that it is not doing great in North America. It is not a wonderful time to be an LCS fan because viewership is way, way down. This is over the past 5+ years. You can see that the number not going up, it going down, and that usually means bad things. 640K was peak in 2017, and they are down to 270K in their most recent spring split finals. These are not good numbers, but it does not mean League as a whole is dying. It's sometimes memed as a dead game, but the viewership for their big Super Bowl event, the Worlds event, was better than ever last year. Peaked at 5.1 million viewers. I don't know how much I necessarily trust that number, but I do know it is on the up as a whole. So League across the world, great. League in North America, not so great. Why is that? Well, if I'm being frank, they're dog shit. Compared to the rest of the world, they're dog shit. They're way better than me. They are professional gamers at their core, but they had their worst performance ever at Worlds. They went 3-15, and the best they have ever performed on the global stage against Europe, against China, against Korea, some of the better regions, is getting to the semifinals. They've never gotten to the finals, and they've never won the World Championship. They've just gotten to the semifinals. And all of that has made a bit of a drought in LCS in terms of viewership, new players, and all that good stuff that helps a thriving esport grow. And because things aren't doing so well, there have been requests for some changes. Specifically, there was a request recently from the 10 teams who all signed to remove the mandate to have an NACL team. And it's at this point I should explain to you that every single team who has an LCS spot, a major league spot, also needs to have a minor league spot, aka an NACL team. And much like baseball, these are farm teams. It's not like your minor league team moves up to the major leagues. You just hope to cultivate young North American talent in the minor leagues that can promote them to the major leagues once they've reached a good spot of learning how to play with the pros. That's kind of the idea, but it hasn't super worked well. I'm being kind of nice here. It hasn't worked at all. There's not a lot of young, new NA talent. Most really good NA teams are good because they've imported players from other regions. That's just the reality of the situation. And so there has been a mandate that every major league team has to have a minor league team, and the teams are saying, it's too expensive to have a major league team and a minor league team. Can we just have our major league team, please? And Riot Games said, yeah. You know what? We thought about it, and we will eliminate the mandate to have a minor league team, an NACL team, starting with summer 2023. This request came in literally May 6th and May 12th. A week later, they're like, let's do it. Bang, let's do it. Very, very quick turnaround, which is kind of fucked up. Because on the side, Riot Games was talking to the LCS Player Association, all the players that make up the major leagues, and they said that they won't do anything to the NACL until 2024. We'll have to discuss some changes, but we promise it's not going to be till 2024. Not only that, but we'll also make sure you're at the table when we have those discussions. That's not how it played out at all. Riot went ahead with acquiescing to the requests of the teams without actually contacting any of the player association. And the player association was pretty upset about that because they were supposed to be at least a part of the table when decisions like this were made. And so what did they do in response to that? Well, they decided to have a vote for a walkout. Something that has never been done, as far as I'm aware, in esports history, where all of the players would not appear for the start of the summer split, which is the most important split because the winners of the summer split get the chance to compete in Worlds, the most prestigious event, I would argue, in esports, maybe with the exception of the international, but definitely up there, a huge event that nobody wants to miss. So they decided to walk out, skip the start, which was supposed to be tomorrow, this Thursday. And that vote happened, and it overwhelmingly passed. This is not a decision LCS players have come to lightly. Countless discussions and debates were had between all LCS players in the week leading up to this historic vote. And so that was their call. We are not going to show up for our games. And not only that, they had a list of 5 asks for Riot Games, 5 things that they wanted to talk about before they would consider going back to play. And their asks of Riot was to institute a Valorant-style promotion relegation between the LCS and the NACL. So rather than the baseball-style major league, minor league, where you're using the minor league teams as farm teams to get major league talent, you want basically relegation systems, like how soccer works in the UK, or how the current Valorant system, like they've spoken here, works, where if a team performs really poorly, they get kicked out. They go to the minor leagues. And if a minor league team performs really well, they go to the major leagues. What else did they want? They wanted a commit of a revenue pool for player salaries of $300K per team. Basically remove the burden from the teams to pay for all these players and give the burden to Riot Games. They wanted to allow LCS orgs to partner with affiliates for cost sharing, which I think just means like, hey, if the team can't afford it, maybe they partner with someone who can. Then they asked for Riot to guarantee LCS minimum contracts for the following year for the 5 players who won the LCS Summer Finals. Basically, you know, if they won, give them a little bone. They want give dog a bone for winning. And then the final one was instituting a 3/5 roster continuity rule to provide players on released NACL rosters first priority in maintaining their slot in the upcoming NACL season if a majority continue to compete together, which I think is a long-winded way of saying, hey, can it be the players' decision to stick together and not the team's decisions to stick together? Please, if most of them want to stick together. And that was their big asks. And Riot, during all of this, initially didn't really respond to the asks. They responded to the walkout. They were really concerned that the summer split wasn't going to start because although LCS in North American League is not growing and is not the biggest and is not the best, it is the flagship of all League of Legends esports. It's what kicked everything off. Before there was LEC, European or Chinese or Korean league teams in competitions, there was North American League competitions. That's all there was at a certain point. So I think it holds a level of prestige that some of the other regions don't because of that. although that prestige is quickly fading. And so what did they want to do? They wanted to ensure that tomorrow's date, Thursday, the summer split would actually start. So they allowed teams to sign players outside the window when they normally would, and this broke live on stream when Travis Gafford leaked some of the other decisions Riot was making.
For multiple sources.
Breaking news alert.
Within an hour of the show starting, that Riot is officially suspending the requirements to play in the LCS. So now you can be of any rank, and you can play from anywhere. You can play from home even on Thursday if you would like to be a pro player. So you, I, Mark, Phil, we're all eligible to compete in the LCS at this time.
That is a huge bomb that Travis just dropped. Basically, the players are saying, hey, we are striking until you meet or talk to us about our list of asks. And Riot Games in return said, hey teams, you can sign literally anybody with a heartbeat. Just get 5 fuckers on that stage so we can start our goddamn summer split, which is crazy. This is the equivalent of coal mine workers going on strike and then the coal mine company going to their nearest high school and saying, hey kids, I've always heard you're yearning for what we do. I think it's fair to say that League of Legends competition should be kept to the professionals and that Riot Games should not be going around the professionals to try to get any heartbeat on stage just to ensure that their competition will start on their timeline. And boy, was the Player Association not happy with that. The LCSPA has been aware for over a week of attempts to require teams to field scab players at the start of the season. We continue to actively reach out to players outside the LCS with a clear and simple message. Do not play for any LCS org as a replacement player. This is a walkout to benefit all league players in America. Crossing the line puts all players' futures at risk. LCS, NACL, and amateur. Crossing the line undermines player negotiating power. And if you have agreed to be a replacement contract, please contact us to navigate your situation. Basically, hey, don't cross our picket fence. We are trying hard to help everybody. And it seems like the Players Association call to not cross the picket fence worked, because yesterday, Riot Games announced that they were going to delay the start of the summer split for 2 more weeks. Nobody's going to be playing League of Legends this coming Thursday. The pro scene is not going to start. But they also responded to the 5 requests from the Player Association, starting with the first one, which I thought had the most legs, which was instituting a Valorant-style promotion relegation between the majors and the minor leagues. And they said expanding the league in order to implement a Valorant-style visitor slot system would run counter to our existing partnership model with the 10 LCS teams who paid 10 mil per slot to compete in the league. It would dilute LCS teams' equity and put considerable downward pressure on the amount of revenue, our league rev pool, that we share with the teams. More teams in the pool would dilute the revenue that we share 50% with our teams under the partnership model. Given the challenging macroeconomic climate, expanding the league is not a good idea at this time. My take on this: the teams have too much power, and Riot fucked up when they first started LCS. They tried to correct their mistake when they made Valorant's league, which I think is a very healthy system. In fact, I think they should probably have more teams get relegated because their current rate makes it a little bit slow for a minor league team like our Moist Moguls to make it to the franchised major leagues. It's only 1 team from all of North and South America per year. It's not very fast, but it is better than League, where there's no chance to go to the major leagues. And for a long time, it feels like teams in League of Legends have used their spot in League of Legends as a speculative asset. It's like owning a house in esports. They hope that the esport grows, they hold their spot that they bought for 10 mil, and then they sell it for a lot more millions later on. This is exactly what Misfits did when they sold their League of Legends spot over in Europe for allegedly like over $25 million, which is crazy. That's crazy how much value they're able to gain. And because of that, the teams, they just hold all the power. And I don't want to call anyone out, but it doesn't make any goddamn sense to me that you can have a team like Dignitas, who bought their team from Clutch Gaming in 2020, be this consistently dogshit with 0 repercussions. They have barely ever made playoffs. They're consistently the bottom of the leaderboard. And once in 2022, they made the playoffs with a 1-3 record, only to get eliminated by Team Liquid. And then in the summer season, what do? They went 3-15. All right, and what do they do in the most recent season, the spring 2023 season? Oh, a back-to-back 3-15, a rare double dogshit performance. And there is no punishment for that at all. There's no expectation that they need to get better, because if they don't, then they'll get relegated and somebody else will take their spot. They're just able to be dogshit in perpetuity, and eventually, if the league scene grows, sell their spot for more than they bought it for. That's just the current system, and I don't think they have the power to change it as a whole. Now, I do think, even though that exists, they should be adding new slots. I understand that it would dilute the pool because they do get between, I think it's been reported, $1.5 to $3 million from the league revenue pool, and they would have to share that with another spot. But I don't know. I think that's fine. I think they should be sharing it. I think there should be some sort of sweat from the teams and culpability to perform at a high level. That's the whole point of a thriving competitive ecosystem, is that teams feel pressure to perform well. And this isn't like the NFL or the NBA, where the dogshit teams get to draft first to get the best upcoming talent, because there is no real good upcoming talent in North America. Teams often get better by spending out their ass to get teams from Europe, China, or Korea. Okay, what about the other points? Well, Riot talked about the ask that you pay the 5 people who won the minor league summer finals, and they said, that's not really sustainable. And then what about the 3/5 continuity rule, where players get to play together if they want to without the teams having control over it? And they said, we want to give power to the teams. So in this conversation, it seems like Riot Games has decided in LCS to give all the power to the teams, which I think creates an imbalance of power between teams and players. I think there's too much power in teams, and I don't think they're doing good with their power, and I think they are the reason that LCS is crumbling as a whole. And Riot should reverse that by giving more power to players. And again, I think Riot knows this because they fixed all the mistakes they made setting up their League competitive ecosystem when they set up their Valorant competitive ecosystem. The players do have a lot of power because 5 people can straight up get into the minor leagues without a team at all. And from there, they have the ability to get to the major leagues. We've seen that with people like Turtle Troop, who are 1 game away from making it to the playoffs for a chance to compete to make it to the major leagues. That's crazy. And they don't have a team that represents them. That is a lot of power that players hold that they cannot hold in League of Legends. Now, you can read the rest of the article to see what Riot said about all the asks from the Player Association, but the skinny of it is no. No across the board to every single thing they asked for. Not only no, but if you don't get your teams and your players to get on that stage in 2 weeks, we've already delayed it, we're not going to delay it again, we will cancel the summer split as a whole. Not only will we cancel the summer split, but we will cancel North America's attendance into Worlds. You guys won't even be able to go to the Super Bowl if you don't listen to our requests to play. That's it, plain and simple. Now, there do seem to be some conversations and negotiations that have opened up between the Player Association and Riot Games, which hopefully creates some amicable solution. But they got a problem over at Riot Games headquarters, and I think the solution is actually allow teams to join from the minor leagues. I think that's it. I think full stop. All right. And maybe you don't even give them in the rev share. Maybe you pay them out. You subsidize it for some amount of years and then slowly trickle them into the rev share. I don't know. But do something to help NA League because it is dog shit right now and it needs to get better so that esports as a whole can get better. All right. That's it. Thanks for watching. See you later, guys. Subscribe. Have a good one. See you later. Goodbye. Have a good one. Goodbye.